Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 151. As always, I'm your host, James Shotwell, and it's great to be with you again. My guest this time around is Jeremy Weiss, the founder of Launch Music Conference, which takes place April 25th through 28th, 2019 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Now, if you're a longtime listener to the show, you are no doubt familiar with Jeremy's work. He comes on every year to discuss the latest activities at launch, and this year is no different. But I want to make something clear. This episode is not just a promotional piece for Jeremy. We actually have a real conversation that I think will be beneficial to aspiring artists and professionals alike. Primarily, we discuss what makes a conference good in 2019. There are a lot of conferences these days and more that seem to appear every couple of months, but the vast majority of them are really not worth your time. People like to make lofty promises about networking opportunities and showcase performances, but the truth of the matter is that unless a place can guarantee you something based on facts of previous experience, it's really hard to trust them. There are a lot of people out there who will gladly take your money for an event that is not going to do anything to help move your career forward, and that goes for artists and professionals alike. Launch is not that thing. Launch is something special, and I've been participating in it for the better part of the last half decade for precisely that reason. I've seen artists at launch, such as From Ashes to New and Ice Nine Kills, who have gone on to do amazing things, and their careers were aided, at least in some small part, by appearing and participating at launch. As you'll hear in this episode, Ice Nine Kills met their manager while at launch, and From Ashes to New were kind of a local regional act who blew up after getting opportunities to perform with national headliners during their time at launch. Jeremy and I talk about all of this as well as what it takes to make yourself known in 2019, and that goes for professionals, artists, and events alike. Having a social presence is not enough. You need to bring something special, you need to bring something authentic, and we get into a little bit of a discussion about what that means and what that entails, and hopefully offer some advice on how you can do that in your own life. Now, before we get there, I do want to tell you a few quick things. But first, I have a question. Do you have something to promote? Maybe a new album or an EP? Perhaps you're working with some friends in a band and you want to get them some more recognition. Well, I would suggest that you give Holix, the music industry's leading promotional distribution company, a try. Holix is used by record labels, management, publicists, and independent artists from all over the world to share new and unreleased music without fear of piracy. Artists like Metallica, Chance the Rapper, Blink-182, A Perfect Circle, and thousands more trust Holix with their promotional needs, and you should as well. Right now, for a limited time, you can join Holix and get your first month for free. Just visit holix.com. That's HAULIX.com. And when you get there, click on the Try It for Free or Try It Now button in the top right-hand corner. Pick a plan that meets your needs and give it a go. If you don't like it, cancel before the end of the first month and your account will not be charged. But if you do, and I think you will, then feel free to continue using Holix for all of your promotional needs moving forward. I also want to suggest that you follow Holix on Twitter because that's where you can find out everything going on with this show, Inside Music. Their handle is at Holix, HAULIX. One more time, that's HAULIX. And finally, I know some of you are getting sick of hearing this, but every episode of Inside Music, as well as hours of original content, can be found on our YouTube channel. It's Music Biz 101. That's Music Biz with a Z 101, or you can just search Inside Music Podcast. Now, that's all I have for now. But I do want to encourage you to come check out Launch Music Conference. I'll be there this April, and I hope you will be too. But for right now, sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with Jeremy Weiss.
It's going really well. You know, we're really trying to get through who's going to be able to be placed to perform. I think we're doing a better job than ever of outreach to all submitted artists, like letting them know, you know, the benefits of attending and planning to attend regardless, and what your objectives should be at a conference versus a standard gig. So I'm pretty excited about that. Spent a lot of time on that.
Well, as someone that goes to a lot of different conferences, I can tell you that that is not something that I've really heard about before. I go to a lot of show conferences where bands are clearly playing, but I don't know of many that actually kind of make clear goals or, kind of offer insight into what to expect beyond like it'll be fun or it'll be, a lot of anything can happen is usually kind of the promotional message that I seem to receive.
Dude, I'm such a nerd that I have to like out of my way to also include the fact that it's a hell of a party because I'm so into like, how what I think what you can get from that from an experience like this. I mean, it is unusual that you would have dozens and dozens of industry music business folks here on their dime, on their time, making themselves available in a space that isn't distracting like New York City or Washington, D.C. or Los Angeles, So they really are here for the artists and the would-be music professionals. And I think that's cool. And maybe, I don't know, it's always been my mission to really like try to explain to folks that you should be here to make at least one great thing happen. And there are a variety of ways to do that. So it's cool. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you recognize the value in that. It makes my nerdy heart proud.
Well, I actually was just on the phone with another group last week that has a conference of their own that's in Nashville, and I brought up Launch, and they said they hadn't heard of me before, which always strikes me as a surprise because I'm someone that's always looking at music conferences that are coming and going, and as I explained it to them, they were like, "Really, in Lancaster?" And I was like, "Yeah, in Lancaster."
Yep.
I mean, at least they knew where it was,
yep.
Right? They were aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. They must pronounce the town name right, I'll bet. Lancaster's cool though. Like it's to me, it's I've said it before. It's like a mini Austin. It's a very artistic little city. It's gotten a ton of press and publicity in recent years. In Forbes and USA Today and New York Times, et cetera. Just as one of the greatest places to live. So I am always been a cheerleader for this town. But I think also once you've heard of it, like you really like it. So that's kind of cool. I think if those folks were up here once, they'd say, okay, I get it. It's pretty freaking awesome.
Absolutely. And you guys have already started rolling out announcements. Spencer told me when I talked to him earlier this week that you're probably going to do speakers next week. You just announced the 4 marquee shows, right?
Yeah. We have a couple of other things to announce yet. The lineups for our Fest Friday installation that we started a number of years ago. It's a Friday outdoor, like fest within the fest kind of thing. So we're still going to announce that, and there's some cool bands playing that. And there's a couple of other things I think that'll be of note. But yeah, we got a little bit of the lineup eye candy out there quick, just to let people know that we have plans and they're well made.
Yes, exactly. And what you guys, I feel like the conference is a little bit later this year, still in April, at the end of April this year. Was there any reason for moving it back a little bit?
I always want it to be moved back. Like that's always my goal. It depends on the facilities availability. But if you can imagine, I mean, the industry shuts down mid-December into early January. So getting those extra couple of weeks for preparation are like, they're miraculous. If you just take an extra 12 to 15 days off of your prep time between January 10th and April, it can be taxing. So we're kind of stoked every time we can push it later.
I don't blame you. And for people that don't know, you do such a good job. I don't want to pitch it for you, but can you give us the spiel, the normal? This is what Launch is.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was fashioned after like I call it the first 15 years of South by Southwest, which is forever and will always be an amazing, extraordinary event. It just arguably became so large that it became much less intimate. So we look for it as a networking and perhaps marketing and primarily learning opportunity for young would-be or any age, honestly, music professionals or aspiring artists. And what we've been able to do since year one as part of our mission statement is something I know to be quite unique throughout the country and with respect to similarly styled events. When you submit for performance consideration, you are granted a conference badge regardless of whether we're able to place you to perform or not. So we offer thousands of complimentary badges as a small effort to offset the cost of coming to something like this. Additional, and you can go to almost everything conference related with that badge, and some 95% of live performances are all included with that badge as well. So during the day, we have a conference that is comprised of panels and panelists speaking on a variety of topics. We're very particular about what the most current topics are and what we think through discussion of the newest methods and modalities, people will get the greatest result from. The term that keeps coming back around is results. We're constantly looking for results. I've been to, as you have, many conferences, and I find them to be, many of them to be well run and well orchestrated. I do find that some of the subject matter becomes quite redundant, and I'm very cognizant of that. So we're very deliberate. We try to assemble particular kinds of experts for a very specific topic so that you leave with something new, something you can apply in your career trajectory immediately. And when you think about it, the networking is not simply with the music professionals, which is a very rare and cherished opportunity, but also with each other. There are thousands of you here. You're all of a sudden like you've returned to your tribe. You're surrounded by people who have the same goals, the same dreams, and who want the same things. And it becomes really communal, like a family. So it really is an overarching. It's a weekend experience as much as it is a chance to promote yourself.
And you mentioned results comes up here a lot, and that is something that I speak to when I talk to other people about launch, is that it's one of the few conferences where I've actually seen a band and then saw them get bigger in a noticeable way within a few years. And the one I've been using as an example most recently is From Ashes to New. It was a band that played launch a bunch, and I've seen them in the last year in an arena supporting Five Finger Death Punch. And they're about to do this headlining tour with Ice Nine Kills, another band that has been at launch a ton of times. So you actually have a history of producing results, and obviously I know you're not the guy that's going to be like, and that is our result. We did that. Thank you. You're welcome. But do you feel that there has been some element of building blocks because these bands come through launch and because they kind of immerse themselves in the community that you create?
Well, I think building blocks is a perfect way to put it. I mean, every single career I've ever witnessed is brick by brick. Even if there were some folks that were kind of preordained, they still had to build it brick by brick. I can only hope that launch is one or a few of those bricks for any of the aforementioned bands and so many others. So maybe it connected you to someone. I know that Ice Nine Kills met and eventually went on to work with their current manager at launch. Okay. I know that From Ashes to New has always done well here locally, but they were also able to be main support to Atreyu, play in front of their booking agent who was in attendance, and a host of other folks. I hope that adding that to their repertoire, maybe led to another conference or festival or both saying, they did this one, let's put them on ours. Those are the blocks. Those are the intangibles. Those are the things that we believe really do contribute to your career. It's kind of like an affirmation, for the rest of the music producer community to say, oh, well, they did this, so I'm gonna have them do that. So yeah, I've been very gratified seeing, and then there's a reverse where someone will become unbelievably humongous, but they had at one time submitted to launch. I would never say, oh, we were so integral in the rise of Meghan Trainor or 21 Pilots or the fellows that are playing with Blake Shelton now. I would never say that. What I would say is, hey, at least our board got one right, got a few right, like we have good ears. So it's exciting in that regard as well.
Absolutely, and I've seen it firsthand, which is something I can't say for other events, not to crap on them necessarily, but we have been, and we're in the process of always pitching new events and looking at stuff. And one of the things that I think also helps launch stand out and gives you an authority that I don't always see in other places is that you guys have like a brand and a presence online, and it's crazy to me. I was looking at a conference the other day who right now is promoting on their website and on Facebook ads that they have Ice-T as one of their speakers this year, but they don't have a Twitter account. And I was like, what is, I don't under, there's like a disconnect here that I don't, like there's no brand presence and their logo is not like an original idea or an original name where it's easily searchable. And I feel like you guys, part of what makes Launch kind of stand out and have significance in the industry is that there's brand recognition, for lack of a better term.
Well, I have always been kind of totally fascinated by branding. Every brand I've ever worked to develop or founded has had like a unique color to it, and hopefully a catchy, memorable type name. Launch still, though, in my infinite nerdiness, is an acronym for logical advice and unique necessary career help. and very few people know that. And the reason they don't know that is because it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. But yeah, so there is kind of an academic and a marketing acumen kind of applied to this brand. I do think we kind of got a cool name, you know. It makes sense that it's a developing artists conference and festival, and that therefore it should be called Launch. I think a lot of folks have heard of it, and I think that's very cool. And being honest, I think it's a name that you could be convinced you had heard of, even if you had not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everyone loves that when it's like when you're talking about bands with somebody, you're like, have you heard of this? And they'll be like, I don't know their music, but I've heard of them. It's that weird,
Yeah.
you know that it's, I always think that you've chosen a good brand name when someone hears it and it makes sense enough that their brain's like, we probably have heard of that. You should say you've at least heard of it because it's so obvious of a name. You just got to run with it. You're like, yeah, of course I've heard of Batman. You know, it makes sense.
You know, something you said though about having, you know, you can actually speak about this event having been here. So your opinion is of the most valuable ones, you know, the folks that have seen it. This is something that we work very hard with our brand partners, very hard with any panelists to like really try desperately to get them to spend just, you know, at least an overnight here so they can actually see it. And I think wanting them to see it so bad is a testament to how confident we are in the product. It's not enough to say you put on this thing every year. I think a lot of people think repetition somehow begets credibility. I think it's so much more gratifying to all of us to hear someone like you say, oh, I've been there and it is great, or it is, you know, well run, or it is, you know, effective. They're the things that you just can't put a price on, man, you know?
Well, I'm happy to offer it whenever I have the chance to speak to somebody. I know you guys haven't announced your panels or anything this year yet, but can you give us a little insight into, I guess, how you're approaching them? And I know that you guys always change things up year to year. So are there, I guess, topics or themes that you're kind of focusing in on that like we want to talk about this year?
Oh, I can tell you full on that like there's always a deep analysis of what's happening this second. Like right now, what is the most important thing to a developing artist? So there are all kinds of subjects that have probative value. You know, how to make a booking contract, how to settle a show. But I think we can all agree, you know, it is rocket science in our space themed conference, but literally it's not rocket science to think about how you are monetizing. Most people are seeking to monetize their careers. It's through streaming and sync licensing. So there's a lot of weight being put on those two facets. Launch is not a place that you come to hear develop your socials, tour. You know, those things are all very important. What we want you to come away with is, cool, how? And if you can't tell me how, what can you tell me that would increase my opportunity here of achieving, you know, of getting better in those two areas, for example. but we'll definitely be talking about publishing, sync licensing, and streaming in depth. And I'm really excited about some of the folks that are coming to help us handle that. Conversations like this with you are also ways that artists are making more impressions. I mean, we can all say quite generically, the world wants to know everything, right? The problem is with the developing artists, they don't want to know anything. They want to know after they heard of you. Now they want to know everything. Well, these kinds of discussions can be a back door into somebody. You know what? I heard that woman talk the other day. I really liked her approach. I'm going to go listen to her music. So that there are just so many ways of how to garner attention in this day and age. You can be as much of a character as you are an artist. And those are the other issues that we're going to deal with when it comes to social media and career development in that arena.
Well, I feel like for so long, artists, there was that path in music where artists would be like, I like to let my music speak for itself. But these days, it's almost, in some cases, it feels like a hindrance to take that approach because, like you said, people want that access. They want, anyone can play them a song. They want to feel like they know the person that made the song. And that's kind of the new wave of marketing. I always say on the Holics blog, I always say like the best marketing tool you have is yourself and what makes you unique, because that's the only thing that makes you unique in most elements of entertainment.
I could not agree more. This is the great problem right now. There are always growing pains in this industry. So people are very reluctant to change, so 5 years ago, you tried to tell a band on my boutique record label, listen, physical product is dying. You don't need it unless there's demand. No, I have been in a band for 8 years and we always have a physical product. Okay, fine. And that's one just real basic example of how loath people are to change. In what you just said is so true that there's still that, well, growing up, my favorite artists said things like, I like to let the music speak for itself. That just that seems like the road least traveled for successful musicians right now. So just in raw math, I think we can argue against that with the math. I also think that, and I'm going to be honest, we do aim to challenge people at launch. And I swear, I think sometimes people might leave here saying, this is not for me. My whole life I thought this was for me, but maybe I'm not built for this. I also see it as a way of, making some sort of excuse or trying to rationalize why you're not treating this like a job, why you're not. And I say like a job, not to strip it of the passion and the art. I say like a job, meaning something you are responsible to do. So if you're not cultivating your personality, your social media, if you're not engaging people, you are at a severe disadvantage in this particular time of music. I've heard exceptional music by people that are horrid self-advocators and marketers. And it makes me sad.
On my side, I've been doing a lot of interviews with people who speak similarly about people in the press, but ultimately, like the artists that I've been talking with a lot recently, they said that when they're doing press, the ones that are trying to get ahead, they're always looking for somebody that wants to have a conversation with them, and they can tell almost based on the first question they're asked most of the time whether or not the thing that they're about to spend 30 minutes doing is worth their time. Because like if they come out the gate with like, so you're in a band, what's the story? Terrible. If they start with like, what if you were a slushie in a video game, what would you be? Terrible. But if they're just if they feel like the person is treating them like a human being, they're like, okay, well, there's something there. And I always call it the podcast effect, even if it's not a podcast, because I always look at marketing, what people should be doing based on what works on me as a person. And that's kind of something I try to impart on artists. I'm like, you wanted to be a metal band because you like these metal artists, but what made you like the artists that you liked from a marketing standpoint? Like, what was it about their image or about how they carried themselves? And my thing recently has been like I buy a lot of books, and it usually starts with me listening to like Mark Maron's WTF podcast or something else, and hearing somebody talk about a product and being like, now I have to own this because I feel I just spent an hour and a half with my new friend, and I need to be a supporter of what they do.
I agree. I mean, I wonder how many, to go to like an older name, how many records Henry Rollins or books he sold because his interviews were conversations, and you really got a very unique person laid out before you that almost made you root for him. That was the effect it had on me. You know, I know that he had been in Black Flag and I loved Black Flag, but moving forward, like, I root for Rollins. I look for him in bit roles on TV shows, and I want to hear him on Joe Rogan because he's an interesting person with a unique perspective. I think that a lot of us are fearful of the way we saw it happening in our brain, that these types of things may throw that dream off course. Like, you know, maybe this is a poor example, but maybe, you know, Ice-T is a better actor than rapper. I do not mean that against him. I'm saying the way the public wants to deal with Ice-T in this day and age. If he were resistant and say, no, I am a rapper, that's it. Like, what would happen to him right now? Where would he just keep fighting, you know, off like the opportunity that was in front of him? I think when you find out about an artist, you start to figure out that, like, shit, Zooey Deschanel can act, you know? Oh, wait, Zooey Deschanel can sing. You know, you don't know until you've had like these quality interactions taped that you can find out more about the person. So I agree with you. It probably is a podcast effect. I like that. And people want deeper connection.
Yeah, they want to feel like they're a fly on the wall, and people like. I mean, old as time marketing is that people want to feel like they're a part of something, and long form conversations, or the podcast effect, as I put it, that allows them to feel like they know the inside jokes because people have a chance to like talk about that kind of thing, or they hear something that feels like a very intimate detail, and then they feel like, oh, I know that band in a way you don't because I get this thing about them, or I heard this thing about them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that goes the wrong way. Like I was speaking with this group, Royal Tusk, who was on the podcast this week, and we finished recording, and he was like, why do journalists ask us what songs are about? That drives me insane. And I was like, I mean, sometimes they genuinely want to know, and sometimes that's the easiest question without actually having to get to know a person, an artist, is to be like, oh, what are your songs about? It doesn't require any thinking to ask you that question. It's
or research. Yeah.
You just look at the song titles, pick one that's not a single, and be like, what is that song about? You know, it's revealing more about the journalist than it is about you as an artist. And he was like, that makes a lot of sense. But I keep coming back to this quote that I've been telling artists a lot that's definitely not mine. It's from Dave Grohl. That was something like, the best part about singing in a stadium is that when 40,000 people sing back to you, they're doing it for 40,000 different reasons. And I was like, that's the key to success. Right? Aren't you? Yeah, you're immediately like, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's how you...
Well, he's amazing, too, so I'm not surprised.
No, yeah, exactly. Anything that comes out of his mouth or Rollins, you're like, yeah, that makes sense at this point. No, that totally makes sense.
Well, that's all part of this narrative that we develop as artists, where no, this is what my fan's supposed to look like. This is what the T-shirt with my image, the one that I want them to like. Like, this is how I saw this playing out. This is how this narrative was concocted in my brain, and I find it to be self-defeating. I can't imagine. This notion, there are all sorts of old notions. We talked about physical product. We talked about changes in how available you have to make yourself personally, you know, to a career now. And I think we've also, you know, I'm hitting on, look, let it happen, you know, let it happen. If people like what they like. And I think your real goal should be to write something that, you know, gets woven into the fabric of American culture, whether it's for 2 weeks or 2 decades. That's your real goal. And I find a lot of self-saboteurs, and I don't think they're aware of it. I really don't. I think they just are kind of belligerent about it, and they're not even cognizant of the fact that they are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now I don't want to keep you for too long.
It would sound like a really awful freight train accident.
Well,
Yeah.
but here's the hot tip: just don't charge your phone on someone's laptop. Because this has happened to someone I know. I can't even.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, just their
This exact fear.
files.
Yeah, all of
take
our
out.
attendance options are at
it's one of those things where it's like
launchmusicconference.com. We
again,
are
sometimes I find it
opening
like I'll
Thursday,
have been
April
like kind of drinking when
25th
I'm
this
doing
year.
that. And
We'll
then
have
all of a
a
sudden,
marquee
I don't know
showcase
what
over at the
noise
Chameleon
I was
Club.
thinking
We're
was gonna
doing a
be.
takeover.
When I'm
Chameleon
singing,
Club
my
is
phone
like
is totally out.
an 800 cap
noise.
room.
Or you
4
told-
decades.
or you've
Great,
introduced it
great,
to
great
yourself.
place
You're like, so this is an
to
idea
play.
for. and
We're
you're
doing
like,
the entire
Yeah,
what was I
building.
doing?
So it's one ticket for the entire building.
It's giving me shudders thinking
and we'll
about
have
going to my
registration
phone
open
and doing
at
that
4
shit.
o'clock Thursday, April 25th.
No, I've
When
definitely
you
woken up to
attend
like
launch,
article ideas. I'll be
you
like,
come in, you
five
got to be
of
thinking
these
kind of
things. I'm
like
what?
an industry
What was
conference.
the
So
conversation that
you
preceded this?
report your
Why is this a
registration,
thing?
Why is
you
that
give
an
your
idea?
name, and you get this big bag of
So what's
goodies from
as far as
all
people
different
keeping up with
types
you
of
guys, where do
people
you
seeking to
post the
promote
most
themselves
stuff
or
for
some
people
cool
to kind of
free
keep
stuff
up?
from
I would say probably
brand
Instagram.
partners. And
That's
then,
the new norm
the
out here.
panels start Friday.
That
We
seems
don't
like the
start
most
mad
big
early
story
because
most
we're
people,
musicians.
We do
But
some stories. I mean, you have to
kind of
know
bring
us
you
to
into the
enjoy
day
them,
with
I
free
think.
coffee and
And I
donuts,
feel like
we're
that
not
might be a
stupid.
problem.
No.
But it's
now you're
very
in the
much
know
about
if you
learning
get it.
throughout the day,
that's
and then
pretty ridiculous.
getting together at night socially.
Yeah, I mean, like we're all
to
pretty
watch,
weird guys,
bands.
so it's like.
And we're so
Yeah,
devoted to that.
like Dan
that
said, I
even
guess
at the close
I think it's
of
cool
each
because
night,
it is a
we
snapshot and
will
you get them to
host
hang out with us a little bit.
I
gathering
always
in
wonder,
the hotel
like,
lobby
what I
with
wanna
pizza
post,
and stuff, so that
I
people
want
have
to
that
see
final
the
shot
unfollow versus
of
follow
you know,
ratio.
getting to know each
Because
other
it's
better. It's
like we're
pretty
big Tim
darn
and Eric
cool.
fans, and like
Very focused
bizarre
on making sure that
absurdity,
you have every opportunity
really
to
cracks us up.
forge a relationship
Fair enough,
with as
fair
many
enough. Well,
people
that's
as
good. So Instagram
possible.
isn't
We bring
just at
people
Royal
together in
At
as
Royal
many
Tusk
as,
Music.
as,
Music.
as,
Twitter, you got
many
us
times
at
and in
Royal
as many
Tusk.
spaces as
And that's
we
good.
can.
The only thing I use Twitter for,
So,
I mean, I repost all sorts of stuff,
launchmusicconference.com. We'll
but
have the
is to
full
yell at
band
fast food
schedule going up here in
restaurants.
a
And I
couple of
love it,
weeks.
man.
We'll have
It's
the
so
full
fun,
panel
like,
schedule
because
rolling out over the
you
next
spend
couple
your
weeks
money
as well.
somewhere, and I get it, it's fast food.
That's
but
awesome,
Sometimes
and,
you just feel offended that they're serving that as food.
Yeah, and that you actually took time out of your day to
As well,
sit
when they're
down,
in the city, I
give
have-
them money,
I'm going to go to
and
the
what
art
they've
museum
given
this
you
year.
is a
That's on
pile
my
of
list of
dog
things I
shit.
haven't
Yeah,
done
like I
on
tweeted
Instagram.
at Thai Express, I was like,
And,
hey, at Thai
my
Express,
good friend,
I think I need a new box because someone puked in mine.
He took a
Love it.
photo of his food.
And then sometimes I get back to you, like I tweeted at Olive Garden, I'm like, Olive Garden smells
Wow, I
like if
didn't
cheese
know
was a
that.
bottle
Yeah.
of food. And they wrote, they're like, this doesn't sound right. And I was like, no kidding.
was not a compliment.
I
Good job.
didn't
Good job,
realize that
unpaid
was the
intern.
guy from
But it's yeah, the food like I'm like probably about a week ago. I've been like I think I'm getting to that point where fast food
decided
is
to retire, and they gave it
absolutely
to me. It was like
repelling.
a
It's
gift.
disgusting.
so cool.
It's not
Yeah,
only that
very much a rock and roll
they-
kind
they're
of story
usually
where like
so
it just
dirty
it
on
fell
the
out of the
inside.
sky.
Yeah,
And you know when you're on
Stink.
tour, you get paranoid.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's so
You know,
great,
so it's
man.
just
Yeah,
That's
so
excellent.
I
Well,
always
so
like
yeah,
exploring
now it's
food.
like I'm
That's
like
what-
finally going like
my,
okay,
my
so there's
girlfriend
certain places I'll do
She's coming
breakfast,
with
you
me
know,
this
coffee,
year, and
sure,
one of the things I pitched her on
you know, but now I'm
was,
like waiting to get into
was
towns
food.
and
I was like, oh,
going to
food in the
eat
city is
normal.
so
We're
great.
big
She's
Jimmy
like,
John's
not
fans.
just
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
that's
Jimmy
one I don't
John's,
fuck I don't yeah.
Real
yeah.
safe bets across the board.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
are like
I'm
no
in Canada.
games,
I tweet them
in
too. I'm
Lancaster
like,
City.
please open in Canada.
Our DNA, man.
Seriously,
We're
just
direct
open in
impact
Canada. I'm a big
buyers.
fan.
Firehouse
Yeah, I
subs.
mean,
Firehouse
you guys have
subs,
a
we
fun
tweeted
time.
them and they sent us a bunch of. They're like, we sent you something.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
you're
there's
not
a whole
from Canada.
food
So
on
all
the
these,
outskirts.
all these free subs.
I'll tell you,
Oh.
your girlfriend will not be disappointed. It was
Fantastic.
also voted
Fantastic.
one of the top
Well,
food
thank you guys for taking the
destinations
time to talk to
in
me
the
today.
in
Thank
the
you for
United
having us.
States.
I like talking about
AAA, so
non-promotional
pretty cool.
stuff, even
Things
though
are going well here.
That's great.
I mean, you get us go.
See you
Yeah, exactly. Get us
in,
going. We can shoot the ship.
Well, you have such a good team at Entertainment One because
Yeah, man.
Bill is
Looking
Bill's
very
really good at
forward to
following
it.
up
Thank
with
you
stuff.
for
He's such a passionate
donating
guy
your
about
time.
you.
That's
I
what
reached
we
out. I was doing the interview.
appreciate
You
it.
guys were doing phoners. I think probably right when you came
see
to
you
LA.
again. And
Yeah.
if anyone
Did
wants
that
to reach out, you guys are
horrendous
on all the social media. They can search for
decathlon
Launch
of
Music
phoners
Conference
where it's just
and
like
they'll
one
find
after another after another after another.
Yeah.
And I was
Hell
like,
yeah,
I'll talk
let's
to them
learn,
in
let's
person in like
party.
a month.
Let's
And that's
go.
cool. I'll
That's
talk to you
sick.
soon.
Yeah.
And he followed up and he was like, that's fine.
Thanks,
And then
dude.
yesterday he
See
sent
ya.
me this like long promotional email and I was already on
on
It would
board
sound
because
like
it's still
a
selling me. It's
really
like, well, you should
awful
give a damn.
freight train accident.
Tomorrow. Like,
But
I think I'm already interested.
I do give a damn. I'm going.
It's like someone on a date texting you in
This
advance.
has
Just so you know, I
happened
am
to
pretty.
someone I know.
Like, it's,
You won't be disappointed.
you won't be
This is
disappointed.
exactly
Thank you
finals, yeah,
for
like,
considering
oh,
this. It was so
But
great.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like
He is. He's really good.
again. Sometimes I find it like I'll have been like kind of drinking. Oh, he's a great. And I'm like, as I listen, I'm like, I don't even know what note I was thinking that was going to be. When I'm singing, my phone is totally out.
You're just making a noise.
Yeah.
We went to New York.
Or you've introduced it to yourself. So this is an idea for
based on the like probably.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
God.
Bar tab.
Give me shudders thinking about it. Like going through my phone and doing that shit.
You gotta be a little crazy to work in this industry. No,
there was a guy.
I definitely woken up to like I already.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have a fucking dynamite team, man.
And what was the conversation that preceded this? Why is this?
Why is that an idea? Cincinnati showed up to our show.
So what's as far as people keeping up?
And I was like, man, like you've never even seen us live. Like, what if we suck shit?
Oh God!
You got the tattoo before you knew.
Me nervous.
Oh, I was like,
residual. Like, we do some stories. I mean, you have to.
Like in my head, I was like so baffled. I'm like, dude, you have fucking big brass balls to do that.
Now you're in the know if you get it. So yeah, confidence in you that you have in yourself. What is this?
Yeah, I mean, like we're all pretty weird guys, so it's like, like Dan said, I guess. I think it's cool because it is a snapshot and getting to hang out with us a little bit.
I have to perform now.
I always wanted, what I want to post.
So I don't. I mean, I'm guilty of band tattoos, so I get that.
No. I mean, and that's cool. I mean, I'm trying to think if I actually do. I don't think I do. I have a bunch of.
You do. Really cracks us.
Oh yeah,
I have that.
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah, that's definitely just like remember where you came from.
I have a dinosaur that's wearing Scotty.
Twitter, you got us at Royal Tusk. Yeah, that's good. The only thing
it's also more of a Mad magazine.
And that one's kind of remote. But
yeah,
is to yell at fast food restaurants. And I love it.
Kept seeing The Wire. I was
so fun. Like
yeah, I mean, I guess to some degree, but
also have a Mad magazine. Sometimes you just feel offended serving that.
Yeah, that you actually took time out of your day to sit down, give them money, and what they've given you is a pile of dog shit. Yeah, they're all like patchy, so it looks like I went to prison.
Like a customize your player.
Totally, it was food. You know, and someone's like, "Oh, what's the meaning behind this?" I'm like, I don't know.
I had a fun day.
I had a great day, and I was trying to remember, and I got it done, and I thought the joke wasn't funny.
And they wrote this doesn't sound right, and I was like, no kidding.
I know, and then I was like, that's
was not a compliment.
Is it? I don't think it is.
Good job.
I'm sick of it already.
I love that one.
But it's the food. Like I'm like probably about a week ago.
Actually,
I think I'm getting to that point where fast food.
Oh yeah, it's just a lyric, and then I actually have a Simpsons tattoo.
It's disgusting.
Oh nice.
To that level. So when everyone's like cancel out, people was like, I'll just keep wearing shoes for a while.
So dirty on the inside. You get paranoid about getting sick.
It's not. It's actually especially this time of year. The secret cult.
Well, so yeah, now it's like I'm like finally going to. So there's certain places I'll do breakfast, coffee, sure, cool. But now I'm like waiting to get into towns and
so at least it's a rare reference.
We're big Jimmy John's.
You get it. Yeah, that's one. I don't. Yeah.
You're a hardcore fan.
I tweet them too. I'm like, please open in Canada.
Also, these are some pretty banging
Open
Nikes.
again. I'm a big fan.
That's my new
Firehouse Subs.
Firehouse Subs. We tweeted them, and they sent us a bunch of. Like, we sent you something, but you're not in Canada, so I have all these free subs.
Yeah, man.
I did. Fantastic. Yesterday. Well, I thank you guys taking the time to talk to me in Boston.
Thank you for having us.
I get into the accents. You guys have accents, which I appreciate because I talk to with one. But at the end of 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, you get us go. Yeah, exactly. Get us going. We can shoot the shit.
You have such a good team.
You're afraid they're gonna get pissed.
Yeah, I'm like, do they realize? Do they think I'm making fun of them? I didn't have this when I walked into the room. Now all of a sudden I'm dropping all my A's.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, I can't stop.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys don't say boots, and I was like, I'll talk to
No.
the stereotype.
Yeah, we get made fun of
And he
that.
followed up, and he was like, "That's
This is a
fine."
boot.
And then yesterday he sent me this like long promotional email, and I was already on board, but he was still selling me. I was like, "Well, you should give a damn." Okay, I'll call you tomorrow. Like, I think I'm already interested.
You're like, I do give a damn. I'm going.
It's like someone on a date texting you in advance. Like, just so you know, I am ready. Like,
You won't be disappointed.
you won't be disappointed. Thank you for considering this. It's so random.
It is a good one.
He is. He's really good. I've worked with him for a long time, but he's really passionate about you guys.
Oh, he's a great dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like it actually influenced us. This is cool. Seeing us live.
Yeah, but it's like we all grew up in like.
We went to New York and we were scared as shit. Like, we better put on the show of life. And someone has an based on their like probably someone's dad's friend $50 bar tab. I think they were happy.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, sick.
That's great.
You gotta be
It's a great movie.
And I love. There was a guy.
Yeah, but everyone is one of those.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have a dynamite team. And I was gonna say, without seeing us before too, how about that dude in Cincinnati showed up to our show and he had a Royal Tusk tattoo, and I was like, man, like you've never even seen us live. Like, what if we suck shit?
Oh God!
You got the tattoo before you
makes
knew.
Me nervous. Like,
I was like,
yeah, just residual. Like,
yeah, just like, oh.
Like in my head, I was like so baffled. I'm like, dude, you have fucking big brass balls to do that.
Yeah.
Man.
But some people have more confidence in you than you have in yourself. You're like, what is this?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we kick ass, but like, it's like, dude, you gotta wait to see us.
Totally.
Yeah. Please don't put this on me right now. I still have to perform now.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm guilty of band tattoos, so I get that. But yeah, that is.
No. I mean, and that's cool. I mean,
band tattoo?
I'm trying to think if I actually do. I don't think I do. I have a bunch of.
Oh yeah, you do. Your first band?
Oh yeah,
I have that.
Yeah,
too.
but that's a different. Yeah, that's definitely just like remember where you came from. Kind of.
I have a dinosaur that's wearing a Scotty and had like anthrax.
Yeah, it's kind of anthrax.
But it's also more of a Mad Magazine.
And that
tattoo.
one's kind of a Ramones.
Yeah, I got the
Ramone there. I can see. Yeah, I kept seeing the wire. I was like, what's going on over here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to some degree, but.
You also have a Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Or Po Buddy's Nerfect.
Yeah.
Hippo.
I got it on my tummy.
Oh wow.
Sandy kind of looks like a GIF message board. With his shirt on.
Yeah, they're all like patchy, so it looks like I went to prison.
They're all cartoony.
Like a customize your player screen.
Kinda, yeah.
Like Grand Theft Auto, someone just dragging
Totally.
tattoos on.
You know, and someone's like, "Oh, what's the meaning behind this?" I'm like, "I don't know."
I had a fun day.
Yeah, I had a great day, and I was trying to remember, and then I got it done, and then I thought the joke wasn't funny, like this stupid
one.
one.
Pie.
Yeah, there you go. See?
I know, and then I was like, "That's cool." I'm like, "Is it? I don't think it is.
Is it? Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of it already."
I love that one. If you don't mind me asking, what band tattoo do you have?
I actually I have one for this band called the Wonder Years on one foot.
Oh, sick.
Oh yeah.
That's just a lyric, and then I actually have a Simpsons tattoo, so
Oh,
I can take my
nice.
fandom to that level. So when everyone was like cancel out Pooh, I was like, I'll just keep wearing shoes for a while until like this Simpsons thing blows over. But I have a
Which Simpson?
it's actually the Stonecutter symbol, the secret cult that Homer joined.
Which is
in
kind of like the joke on the
yeah.
fingers.
It's
Yeah.
like the hammer, and it's done as a superhero grail.
Oh,
on
cool.
my other foot, that's super
Sick,
cool.
man.
It's kind of like the Captain America shield with that. So at least it's a rare reference. So like if you get it,
You get
sure,
it.
that's why you're looking at my feet. But secondly,
I also-
you're a hardcore fan. No, I'm like, oh, okay, you're legit. You remember this random episode from season 6.
Also, these are some pretty banging Nikes.
Thank you. That's my new obsession. I moved on. Like someone got me into shoes. Now I just wear.
Yeah, I'm super jelly. Those are nice.
Oh, I appreciate this. This is fun.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. I did a thing with the Dropkicks yesterday, and they were fun to talk to. I used to live in Boston, so we would do I get into the accents. You guys don't have accents, which I appreciate, because if I talk to someone with one, by the end of 20 minutes, I realize I think I'm parodying them in some small way. I'm starting to be like, fucking this and fucking.
You're afraid they're gonna get pissed at you.
Yeah, I'm like, do they think I'm making fun of them? I didn't have this when I walked into the room. Now all of a sudden I'm dropping all my A's.
Yeah. Shit. You think I can't stop?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys don't say boots or anything. You guys don't
No
have the stereotypes.
Yeah, we get made fun of for saying it, but this is a boot.
Yeah, yeah. You guys don't say hosiers or anything like that. So
Well,
far,
I'll call someone a hoser, but
Okay.
it's in a direct reference to being a Canadian kid.
Yeah.
We'll use it, but only in the right context.
Yeah.
He's a hoser.
Yeah.
I love that insult. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is a good one.
Have you ever seen Fubar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was filmed like 3 hours from where we live.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like it actually influenced us growing up. We were like, this is cool.
But it's like we all grew up and like, you know, whether or not we were like that, we all knew someone like that.
Yeah.
It's
Someone
like,
as an uncle.
Yeah.
Or someone's dad's friend.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
See, that was Detroit Rock City around here.
Oh, sick.
Yeah,
And that's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
And I love Kiss. So.
Yeah, but everyone is one of those characters. So you just hope you're not the lame one.
Yeah, right.